Welcome to Coaching in Session,
where limits end and growth begins.
Hosted by Michael Rearden.
This is your space to challenge the ordinary,
unlock your potential,
and step boldly into your next chapter.
Your mindset journey continues.
I was just talking about this a couple of weeks back about talking about your potential and where you put your focus. And I have been putting quite a bit of focus on family, on helping people with their parenting styles and helping them raise their children. And not so much of like, hey, I'm going to feed you. Hey, I'm going to give you a bath and clothe you. It's more of helping people understand the mindsets that they want to instill in their children and then figuring out a game plan according to your parenting style. And this is where one of our premium coaches or coaching programs where we have family consulting. If you have a family, you need some help, all the things are custom. So there is no one price for you to say, okay, this is going to be what my family needs, because your family might not need what family B needs or C needs, because every family is going to have a different dynamic. Maybe grandma and grandpa are still in the picture. Maybe both dads are still in the picture. Maybe the love in the household is fractured. Maybe there's going to be some discrepancy in politics and beliefs, right? We can go down the list of things that can possibly be going on that causes the household as a whole to be in chaos. And if the household is in chaos, the ones that are going to be learning from their environment the most, children, are also going to be within that chaos. So they're going to be learning and evolving and growing within that chaos. Now, what happens when someone is growing in that chaos or they're growing with a very busy system or society is that their mind doesn't develop into a strong one, because everything has just been passive. Oh, I don't have to make my bed in the morning. Oh, I don't have to take any responsibility. Oh, I don't have to hold the door for my mom or my dad or something along those lines. Oh, I don't have to be a part of this family, so I don't have to take out the trash or wash the dishes or walk the dog or vacuum the carpet. I mean, we can go down the list of things that possibly have been delegated. And it was so funny because I remember when my wife was pregnant with our first son, we had got a housekeeper for a bit because she wasn't able to clean. And so we had got the housekeeper. She worked for a couple months. My wife would just always look at the job after the job was done. She would just go, this house is still dirty. I got to clean it myself. Right. But she wasn't able to. Right. So we just did the best we could with that time, like during that time. Now that we have multiple children, we have a son, we have a daughter. Now we can say, oh, well, now that we're so busy and we have extra income, we could hire a housekeeper that we like, one that does a good job. And I was thinking in my mind, that would be wonderful, right? To have a housekeeper wash the dishes, to do the laundry, to vacuum, to not see all these toys all over the house. And I just think in my head, how big of a problem that would cause and be for the family. You might think, Michael, it's just a maid, it's just a helper, it's just someone who's going to help you clean up. And I go, but where is the responsibility? Where is that going to be shown? Because when you don't have a household filled with responsibilities, you create weak-minded children. And when you have weak-minded children that grow up in a household without responsibilities or very little of them, they're going to grow up into the culture of what the world is. And the culture is already, we know it, weak-minded as well. The moment something happens, they get a negative statement, like something bad happens and it's doom and gloom versus let's figure this out. So there's a type of mindset that's happening in the world and it's going to be affecting everybody. But today we're going to be focusing on our children. And of course, if you're an adult without children, you can correlate all the things that are being said and just putting it into adult fashion. And if you, of course, want something more tailored to adults and what they're dealing with today, reach out to us, coachinginsession@gmail.com. Just send me email saying you want an episode on that, and we will make sure that we get an episode out for you. Raising strong children in a weak-minded culture is going to be our article today. And I love this article, not because I am all about, again, my focus right now is big on families, big on parenting right now. So, of course, my passion is this, where I want everyone to know this information. And if you can know a fraction of this information, your children are going to be in a better place. It is that simple, right? I believe maybe the best place to begin is within my household, because who am I to say what you should be doing if I'm not doing it? And I'm a big believer in, if I'm going to have some words to be said about something, I better be doing it too. If I say we need to go gym 5 times a week, I better be going to gym 5 times a week. If I say that we need to be loving our partners, we better be loving our partners up and down. I'm not saying we have to cherish the world that they walk on, right? There's a difference there, but we respect, right? I don't disrespect my wife. I don't even disrespect my children. And I don't expect that from them either. And I don't get that from them either. My son, he doesn't disrespect me. My daughter, she's still 1, so she doesn't know what disrespect or being respectful is. But if we had to talk about attitudes, she's the one who has one. So if you need some attitude adjustments, or if you want someone with an attitude, I got the girl for you, right? My daughter. Now, you can't have her because my wife loves her, but you can at least just relish in her aura and her stares of looking at you like, what do you want from me, right? She wants nothing to do with anybody but my wife. Now, she hangs out with me sometimes when my son is around and my son's jumping on me and everything. And she's like, oh, I guess I can jump on that too. And so now she's jumping on me and it's big problems, right? Well, it's not big problems for me or for them. It's just, again, parenting, right? Fatherhood. Extremely rewarding, as I said early on in the previous episode. But the thing I want to say is there's a correlation between rough play and strength when children develop. You wouldn't think that, right? Oh, you should be gentle with your kids. You shouldn't throw them around and roughhouse them. Now, for girls, maybe they can get away with that. But for boys, they need it. Why? Because the real world is not soft. The real world is going to be daunting and grueling for boys and men. And they should get beat up in the safety of their home in a playful fashion and become stronger because of it. My son, he's only 4, and he started to open the car door by himself. And not while we're driving, but to go into the car, to get into his car seat, versus all of the years we had to take him, pick him up, put him in his car seat, or open up the door, let him climb up into his car seat, sit down, then we'll strap him in. Now, recently, he's been trying to open the door, and the doors are not like, it's a new car, and you would just pop it open, right? Whatever, right? He can't do it sometimes. And it's not because he can't do it. It's because he is trying to keep a weak mindset where he puts his hand on the handle and he pretends to push. He pretends to pull. He pretends to use all his strength. And I just look at him and I see him faking it. He's not even moving the handle. He's just getting frustrated. He's getting angry. He's getting sad. He's getting emotional, right? He's 4. And you know what I do? I go, stop for a second. Go right here. And I say, watch me. I open the door in 2 seconds and then I close the door. I go, your turn. And then I give him some techniques. I go, okay, put your hand here, do this, try this technique. And there's a couple ways we got to do it for him to get the door. This man has been opening the door probably for a month now. And this morning he tries to open it one time. You know what he did? Dad, I need help. I go, keep on trying, buddy. I'm over here putting Maya in the seat, right? My daughter. And so I'm putting her in the seat. By the time I get her in the seat, he already got the door open because I told him, keep on trying. Don't give up. Now, I understand some parents, oh, why you make him struggle? He's only so young. It's not going to affect him. Yes, it will affect him, right? Be strong now, right? Be stronger later. Now, we talked about this idea of being strong for far too long by yourself, right? Like the cost of being the strong one. And this is not that. Now, this is built on support, right? I'm a authoritative parent, right? My wife's an authoritarian parent. Okay, what's the difference? Now, I lead, I give examples, and I give as much support, and I'm there with them along the way, right? I'm telling them, hey, this needs to happen. Let me give you an example. Let me show you. And then you show me, right? I support them. If they are struggling, I step in. I go, hey, it seems like you're doing this wrong. Have you figured out something? And I'll give them some clues, things like that. But I'm not over here doing things for them. I'm not over here picking up the pen, doing their homework, or I'm not over here picking up their toys and letting them just kind of sit on the sofa. No, we got work to do. Get up, get to work. Now, that's for boys. For girls, you can be a little bit more gentle, right? You can simply say, okay, well, we have to clean up together. You can possibly have gentler playtime where you're having tea parties and things like that. You might go, that's too girly, blah, blah, blah. You should be treating them the same. No, boys and girls are different. Their minds are different. How they develop are different. So why am I going to give both the same? right? They need something different, right? One might need more love. I'm gonna give them more love, right? One might need to be pushed more. I'm gonna push them more, right? My son, he's gonna get pushed way more than my daughter. But I guarantee you think my daughter's gonna have an easy time compared to some of these other kids who are all snot-nosed and rude and disrespectful? Not happening. Sure. You think she's gonna have a temper tantrum and I'm gonna bow down and say, okay, I'm sorry. You get whatever you want? No, absolutely not. Temper tantrums get you 0. Okay. And you're going to learn that very quickly. Just this morning, she had a little tumble going into school. And I just said to myself, she's going to cry. She's going to be all upset because she fell and she didn't get hurt or anything. But sometimes you fall and you're looking, you're getting embarrassed and you're like, oh man, I got to cry now. No, I just picked her up. I go, man, you need to watch where you're going. And she just like, that's life. You fall down and get back up. But yet in our world today, a little bit of pain, a little bit of boo-boos. Like, when's the last time you seen a kid wearing a cast? Like, honestly, when was the last time you seen someone with that type of injury? It doesn't happen. Kids are inside playing video games. They're not outside running around, hanging out with other kids. And yeah, sure, it happens, but it happens at a lower rate than it once did. Back when I was growing up, that might have been 80 to 90% of what kids did. And now going outside today might be 15 to 20%. And you might say, well, that's not that big of a disparity. It's a huge disparity. It's a big problem. Yet we think that is okay. So we put our kids in front of shows and we make it easy for them with search engines and AI. So they have weak minds today and they're so fragile. They're easy to manipulate. They're easy to break. They weren't prepared for the real world. Now, as parents, it's not our job to raise perfect children. It's impossible to raise a perfect child. There is only the child that you raise. Now, as a parent, you are going to have many flaws yourself. I have flaws. My wife has flaws, and it's okay, right? I understand where she's weak, and hopefully I can be strong in those areas. And she understands where there's things that I need help and support in, and she can do that when I'm not there, right? It's a team effort, and everyone works together. And it's the reiteration process of something. For example, if my son is disrespecting my wife, saying no to her, he doesn't say no to me. I'll tell you that much. I nipped it in the butt when he was 2. When he was 2, he will realize no and dad don't work together. With mom, it's an option, right? Because the consequences weren't immediate, and they have to be, because there's an aspect, and I have multiple aspects to helping you raise stronger minded children in our world today rather than weak minded children in our culture today. Now, there's a couple aspects. I talked about it with a guest recently, but I'm going to bring them up. The 2 aspects that I follow are sugar and spice and fear and respect. If you can understand these 2 aspects really well as a parent, you can raise any type of child you want. You want them to be a scholar? Sure. You can't determine what they're going to be in life, but you can support, you can influence. If you see they have a natural gift for something, you support it. If they're really good at baseball, you're not going to put them in football and say, well, I want you to play football because I played football. And yet they suck at football. But at baseball, they're amazing. They'll be like the next Derek Jeter or something, or Babe Ruth, right? We can put them in the places where they will prosper rather than places where they're going to suffer, where they're going to lament, where they're not going to be that talented person that they just like have this ego and this persona of, wow, I'm really good at this. I could be great at it, right? Versus parents are taking things away from their children, not like iPads and things like that, but they're taking away self-esteem. They're taking away opportunity for challenge and growth. And I just love it when parents, they come to me and they say, Michael, I don't care what you do to them. I don't care what you do to these boys. I don't care what you do to these children. I want this result. I say, you sure? You go, yes, I'm sure. I go, not a problem, Mom. Not a problem, Dad. Talk to them. I go, that's easy. Okay. And they're like, easy. And in their head, I go, but it goes against your parenting style, right? So the sugar and spice aspect is there's going to be a level of niceness you can be. You don't have to be yelling at people all the time. But then again, you do have to be stern at given times. So for example, let's do this like a scenario. And if you have like your own scenarios, feel free, consultation, sign up. We can go through all your scenarios, what's going on in your life, break them down. I can give you solutions, right? It's super easy, but I'm just going to give a couple of random ones. Let's say it's time to go to bed. The bedtime routine is making sure their garbage is thrown out, making sure the dishes are cleaned, making sure our teeth are brushed, our bodies are cleaned, and of course, any nighttime routines like reading or journaling or something or Bible study, whatever you decide, right? That's the nighttime routine. And one of your children basically said, I don't feel like taking out the garbage today. I'm too tired. My finger hurts, right? I have a headache. My show is on. I want to watch my show, right? And you got to ask yourself, if you're a kid and you have your shows now, oh man, we're in big problems, right? But either way, this is, it's funny because it's like the only thing you have to do as a parent is saying, absolutely not. We have responsibilities that need to get done. I'm going to do my part. Mommy's going to do her part. You're going to do your part. Now, if you need some assistance with your part because maybe you are truly injured, I can assist you. But then again, after I assist you, now you have to help me do what I am doing. And I have to do this and I have to do that. And you basically go on the list of telling them 10 things that you have to do before bed. And they're like, maybe I'll just take out the trash, right? Now they're realizing that they're a part of this chemistry of what is family, right? They're part of that unit and everyone has a responsibility. There is no allowance. I don't want parents to think that they have to give their kids allowance for washing dishes and for taking out the trash. That's a responsibility that the household is. Now, there are things that can create value for in the household. For example, I pay a landscaper to do my grass. If my son or my daughter, if she want to do it, I wouldn't care. Supervision, of course, in the beginning, right? So I don't want so they don't lose any fingers or something, right? It'd be a bad day on my end where I make sure it's like, hey, if you want this, you can get the $60 that I would have gave someone random, right? You can have it. I don't care. But you better do a good job. You better do a job as equal or better than what he would have done. And I'm going to say there's no cutting corners here just because you're family. Now, you're going to get to work, spend 2 hours outside, 3 hours outside to get $60. Okay. Now, of course, some of that's going to be taken away because we have a financial system for the kids. So they're not going to see $60. Some of it's going to go to saving. Some of it's going to go to investing. Some of it's going to go to gratitude giving away. And then some is going to go in their pockets. They buy whatever they want. I don't care what they buy with their money. They want to buy candy? That's fine. Because one of our nighttime routines, brushing teeth, get those teeth clean, right? And when I was young, man, I can't tell you how many cavities I had, right? I had more cavities growing up than I do fingers and toes, most likely. That's a lot. That's a lot. And it's just because we didn't have any routine. We didn't have any structure, right? My parents were in dismay. It's a broken household and everything was chaotic, right? And I can just blame my environment because I didn't want to do what I knew I had to do. And sometimes I did and sometimes I didn't. But it was something I had to deal with later on. And now I go to the dentist religiously. I see them all the time. And they're like, oh, hey, how you doing? How's the family? It's like we're going to the golf club. And it's so funny because I think my son and my daughter's not of age yet to go to the dentist and see she's still forming all her teeth. So my son, he dreads the dentist. He's like, I gotta go to the dentist. Oh my God. He's like fearful for it and it's a big problem, right? But he goes, he has a good time, right? Now, in the beginning, he would cry, he would have a hard time. And I'm not gonna just be one of those parents like, well, if you don't want to go to the dentist, that's fine. I'll do it myself. It's like, no, you need to figure this out for yourself. Things in life are not going to be hard. So he has to go through many challenging things, going to the dentist, starting martial arts next year. Eventually, he's going to start taking out the big trash. He takes out the little things like the boxes and the recycling. He does that right now. He's 4 years old. He started when he was 3, maybe even 2. And daughter, the same thing, right? We start them young, right? Responsible, right? To be responsible, to become resilient, you have to be accountable. Now, I talk about in this article how many parents, they don't even know that they are literally shooting themselves in the foot, right? Because they're trying to protect their children from any type of harm, whether it be physical or emotional. Now, if I see my children playing safely but dangerously, I'm gonna let them play, right? My wife is probably like, stop yelling, you're like stop jumping on the sofa, that's dangerous. You're gonna bump your head, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just thinking in my head, let them be woman. Let them live life. Let them learn. Let them fall. Let them get hurt. I can't tell you how many bumps and bruises I had. It's so funny because she learned the same way with bumps and bruises. And now she's basically trying to stop that growth from happening because it is growth, right? You learn from your falls. I would say you learn from your falls more than when you land safely, right? When you make a mistake, or like, ooh, that was a mistake. I'm paying attention now. Now, emotions, right? I don't feel like doing this. This is hard. It's frustrating. And of course, you're like, okay, baby, well, we could take a break. We could do it later. No, we digging in deep, baby, right? We are going to be cooking, right? Now, I talked about the sugar and spice aspect a little bit. Now, the sugar is you're very kind when you can be kind, and you're spicy when you need to be spicy. So we can mix that in with one example. I'm going to mix it in with the respect and fear aspect. My son, I says no to my wife sometimes, and he doesn't say no to me. Why? Right? Well, of course, we can look statistically. Men have deeper, stronger voices than women. And this is not to say that a woman can't have a deeper, stronger voice as well and then get the same results. This is just naturally what they hear. And they're basically like, I don't want any of that. That's why a mom can say, you wait till your dad gets home. I'm going to tell him. They're like, no, don't tell dad, no. Right. And it's not even because the dad will hit them. It's not even the dad because they'll yell at them. It's just that the voice does something different in their mind, in their soul. And I call that the respect and fear. It's that they respect both parents, right? But they want to get away as much as possible with mom. They know that dad's going to hold a tight leash, a tight rein. So they fear that if he's going to come into the picture, they don't have any more leeway. So they fear him to that regard, but they respect him enough to do it if he asks so. And yet there is not much fear for the mother because, oh, my mom loves me. She gives me hugs and kisses. And again, her hugs and kisses do something a man's hugs and kisses can never do, right? That's that dopamine they get from the mom, from those hugs and kisses. That's why both parents in the household are essential, right? Now, if we just look at a disciplinary, like discipline aspect to raising children, having a man in the household by himself, the kids are going to turn out better naturally, but they're going to be missing that emotional response there, especially if that male is absent emotionally and or just absent physically because he's always working and trying to provide. Now, if he's in a situation where he has all the pieces of the puzzle, then sure, yes, he can raise well-rounded children. But again, it's just easier to have something or someone rather that is more equipped for that position. Now, not saying that every woman is equipped for that position because some women don't know a damn about raising children or being a mom, right? It's just because you can produce doesn't mean that you automatically know what you have to do after you produce, right? That's why we learn from our great grandparents, our mothers. We learn from our parents, right? We learn so we can say, all right, now I know. And it was so funny because I was talking to someone about this. They go, if you ever needed help or something, like with your child or something, you don't necessarily need to even call Google. If you're lucky and fortunate enough, you call mom. Can't remember how many times I called my mom when my son was sick or something's going on with my daughter. I'll call my mom. She's like, oh yeah, this happened to you or this happened to your brother or your sister. This is what you have to do. It's just like, great. You're better than Google because Google's saying, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I was like, no, I want someone human to tell me what to do. And so you get that aspect there, right? That support aspect. And when we're just looking at all the different areas, right? My mom was super tough. She was that spice aspect, but she could have been very sweet as well. My dad, respect and fear aspect. So he wasn't really sweet, but he was playful. He would throw us in the air and stuff and take us to amusement parks. And sometimes he would give us lectures, but he never really truly yelled at us. He was just a very calm tone. It's so funny. He could just talk to us and we would break down. We're just like, oh my God, right? It's this because that fear aspect, because he was a big guy. And so we will look at him and it's like, man, we messed up and we don't want your attention toward us. We want freedom, right? We want the luxury to do what we want. We want to be comfortable, right? We don't want to be accountable. And today, that's what we need. We need children who are going to be diving into that discomfort, whether it be in martial arts or sports or doing something that makes them feel uncomfortable, not to the realm of inappropriate, but uncomfortable meaning you're afraid to go on stage for a spelling bee, right? You're just afraid to go on stage because you might make a mistake. And you have parents who encourage you, just get on stage. Let's see what you can spell. All right. For every word that you spell correctly, we will celebrate like no other when you get home. And then we'll have a big party, right? For all the words that you knew. And then it doesn't matter about the words you didn't know, right? Right. That could be enough. That's just one quick example. Like, I'm sure we can think of better examples than that one, right? Because you're not going to just say, okay, I'll give you a piece of candy for every word that you didn't get. That's not really helpful. Or an ice cream or something like that. That's not really helpful. You want to celebrate the activity, right? The spelling activity, right? You did really well on these words, and we're just celebrating you going on stage and being able to spell all those words that you did. Now, if they don't spell the first word, where are we, right? Just getting on stage, that's enough. I can't believe you got on stage in front of all those people. You're so brave. Just saying that right there, that's powerful. That's that sugar aspect, right? That's what they needed at that time. You wouldn't want to be spicy and say, well, you should have not even been afraid. It wasn't even that scary, right? Next time you should have just stepped on stage, more confident. That's why you got the first word wrong, right? That's very spicy, So you don't want to get into that realm when they need a soft approach, but there's always going to be a right approach. I believe so when it comes to demonstrating discipline, demonstrating resilience, demonstrating ownership to children, right? Where you're basically saying, hey, you need to take ownership for this. You need to do this. This is your responsibility. And I can't tell you how many parents just strip that away from their children. They don't allow it. They don't nurture it. They don't support it. And I get it. It's easier to do things by yourself, for yourself, than it is to incorporate your children. If I want to make breakfast and my son sees me cracking eggs, you know what he does? He comes over here, Dad, I'm going to help. I go, yay. I go, yay. He's like, yes, I'm going to help, right? He's so excited. And he knows how to get a chair. He knows how to get into the spot, get ready to crack the eggs. And so I let him crack an egg, and I say, okay, take all these shells out because there's big problems in the bowl now. And then I go, okay, I'm going to take over, do a couple. And then I go, okay, now it's time to whisk the eggs, right? So I go, okay, let me start you off a little bit. I start him off so he's not making a mess. He goes a little bit, and I ask, okay, just tell me when you're done whisking, when the eggs are ready. And after, a couple of seconds, he goes, okay, I'm done. I'm just thinking in my mind, you didn't even whisk them that well. But so I finished whisking them. And then we go over to the stove and make sure the stove is real, real low where he can't even get burned. I say, okay, let's pour the eggs into this pan. And he pours the egg into the pan with assistance. And then after I cook the eggs, I don't need him to help me cook the eggs. I go, okay, hang out in the living room. When the eggs are ready, I'm going to bring them to you. And it's so funny when he cooks the eggs, just those couple processes, like of cracking an egg, whisking the egg, putting the egg into the pan, he eats so much more quicker, right? And the first bite, he takes a bite, he goes, and he looks up at the ceiling, right? Versus the other time, he's distracted. He's just eating the egg, and he never got out of that system of what he was in doing, playing with his toys on an iPad or whatever, watching shows or drawing or reading, right? Whatever he was doing, it's just like a distraction for him. And so the breakfast is just kind of an eat and go thing. Now, of course, we can talk about the aspects of eating and what type of family time you should be having with your kids. But that's not so much of this conversation, because in this article where we're talking about raising strong children in a weak-minded culture, of course, the aspect of having family time and eating dinner together with no mobile devices or electronics, having structured conversations, good communication, being there to support them in their endeavors, allowing them to do the things that they're talented in versus the things that you want them to be in. Because maybe I want my son to be a radio host, and I'm like, okay, you're going to come on my podcast and you're going to do this and you're going to do that. And he might do it, but he might not have a dream for it. And oftentimes this can even be, if you have been sheltered, you're not going to find who you were truly meant to be until your early 20s. And that's a long way to wait, because that means you have been lost for the past 18 to 21 years, not knowing what your life was, because you were always in the shadow of your person, right? Of your a higher version of yourself, right? And you knew you could step up into that, but you just needed help. You needed that stepping stool. In our house, for example, all the bathrooms, we have little steps, right, for the kids. So when it's time to wash your hands, I go wash your hands. They don't need help. They can just go do it. If I tell them to clean up, they don't need help. They can do it. Of course, if I'm in a rush, I'm trying to get things done. Like my daughter, she's 1. She just likes to flip fruit over like the fruit plate. She goes, whatever, I don't care about this fruit. Flips it all over everywhere. So I'm like, Nathaniel, my son, I go, why'd you let her do this? This is your responsibility to make sure she's not making a mess, right? You would think, isn't it the parents' responsibility to make sure that the kids are not making a mess? No, he has a job now, right? You are now in charge of that. I'm going to make sure, of course, no one's going to come through the door and hurt you. I'm going to make sure you have food in your bellies in the fridge. You have a cool house in the summer, a warm house in the winter. The fridge, again, is stocked with food and it's in goodies that you guys like. This is all because I understand as long as your basic needs are met, we can work on everything else easily. When you are in survival mode, it's going to be harder to build strong-minded children because when you're struggling, when you're surviving, being strong is the last thing on your plate, last thing on your mind. Modern culture is going to tell you what to be, going to tell your children who to be. There's so many shows and so many, new technologies that make life so simple, makes it easy, right? You don't have to go outside and sweat anymore. You don't have to be out in the green space to not feel bored, right? For us, rainy days were the worst days because what did you do when there was nothing to do? Like you couldn't go outside. Like that was our video game, outside, nature. Now, if there's a rainy day, they're like, yes, Dad's not going to make me go outside. And I get to stay inside and I get to just do a couple of things. And sure, you can play board games and play chess and stuff like that and learn things and do activity books, learn curriculum. Yeah, you can learn all of that. The issue is not so much of doing that book work or doing the things that are positive. It's about doing the things that are going to create the weak-minded children, where you're doing everything for them, where you're giving them handouts rather than them going to go explore and to get things safely done. So if my son needs some food, of course, there's foods that I know I can get for him. And then there's foods that he can get for himself. And we showed him how to open up the package and he can do it himself. So as they grow up, they are learning. They're learning patience. They're learning self-control. They're learning how to be responsible. They're learning how to be consistent and they're learning respect. Just the other day, I think I even said it on the podcast. We were at HEB, greatest store in the world, greatest grocery store in the world. And there was a young man, maybe in high school, or college, he was bagging groceries for us. And my son was there. So I basically grabbed the first bag. I told my son to get the second bag, 4 years old. I don't care. So he grabs the second bag and it was a light thing. I don't know what it was. Maybe like a frozen pizza or something, right? And he grabs this thing and then he basically was trying to walk away, right? But I stopped him. I said, what do you say to him? And he goes, oh, thank you. And then the kid, he had a big smile on his face, right? Not because a 4-year-old said thank you to him, but because he was proud that there's still hope for the world, right? And every parent can do that for their child. Yeah, sure, there's going to be days that are rough, days where you might want to throw in the towel and give up or just do everything for them. But on those days, they don't learn any better. And those days are going to be the best days for them to learn. So we have to be the parents that they need as well. We have to be intentional in their development. So raising strong children in a weak-minded culture is going to be a wonderful read for any parent in the world. This article right here is going to help you get better results for any growing child, where they're going to be more emotionally stable, more mentally fit, independent, and they're going to be more prepared for the real world pressures, because the real world is going to try to knock them down and beat them up. Remember in that Rocky movie where he basically was talking about his baby and he was getting him ready for the real world? This is this idea as well, where we as parents need to do everything we can to help them in life, because life is going to have pressures. They're going to deal with rejection. They're going to deal with conflict. They're going to have competition and whatever it be. And they need to be more resilient. We need to teach our children resilience. So if you have children who are resilient because you're doing a great job, keep on doing that. But if you have children who are weak-minded, who are selfish, who are egotistic, who are disrespectful, who are stubborn, who are lazy, then this is the time when you need to fix it, because all of this is going to compound. And if you don't do the work today when they're young, you're going to have a problem when they're later on, teenagers and young adults. And I always say to everybody when they're dealing with children at a young age, and I can see some issues developing. I always say this: either you can get them coaching now and we can fix it, or they're going to get coaching when they're an adult because you never wanted to fix the problems that you didn't want to address. So it doesn't matter. They're going to end up in my office regardless, whether it be today or tomorrow being later on in their life. There are problems that need to be fixed, things that need to be adjusted. And as parents, what we should do is give them the best support we can. That would be the greatest benefit for them, not only today, but for the rest of their life. So no more weak mindsets, only strong ones. It might be against gentle parenting culture right now, but right now we need more than gentle parenting. We need parenting that's going to influence the next generation to not want to be bystanders, but rather step into leadership, into roles that are going to change the world.